But SK now, I think, have got to start trying to make some adjustments as we move into Game 2 here for those picks and bans, because they're... It just hadn't been working up until this point now. And Obey Alliance, I think, from minute one, were in control of this one. So one more time, they kind of got to go back to the drawing board, I think, and try and find some ways to make some adjustments. But where do they make them? Is it in the Zeus not having enough pressure early? Is it Faeles, who really never got to have a big impact on the Unbots that game, I don't feel like? Is it the dual lane that was out-pressured tremendously by them the entire time? Where do they go back and look in these picks and bans?
Funnily enough, I actually thought that was one of Faeles' better performances. Not a whole lot that he could have really done in his current position when your solo laner is just getting their entire jungle stripped away.
It does
That's
hurt
going
Faeles.
to impact the jungle, and that's exactly what happened to Faeles. But he did find some nice pick-off moments there in the mid lane, one in particular against, PrettyPriMe, where he punishes PrettyPriMe for being a little bit too far forward by himself.
He's short of
and
yeah, that's good.
I was a fan of that. I'm not opposed to seeing Faeles again on the Humbats. I think that banning away the year long, though, was a very smart move by SK, especially to take the Athena as well. Easy setup guy for HalfDevil. I think HalfDevil has had his own fair amount of struggles in the SPL and staying at like the relevant level for the other supports. And
Right.
I think also that the global presence is going to be very important for SK to keep track of.
They've got the Athena here, which should be a big tool for them in that exact category, in that global presence. But one thing that I liked is that I'm not saying Prime played poorly, but I think he was a bit limited in that game, right? As opposed to what we've seen from him normally, where it feels almost like he's like hard carrying for them. And I think it's because SK invested so much into him in the picks and bans, right? They picked the Zeus right away. They banned 2 mages away in that second ban phase, and the Frey, I think, in the first phase. This time, though, Prime was able to rather comfortably get that Zeus for himself, along with his Baron Samedi. Now, I feel like you have even more problems. They did a good job answering one of the whack-a-moles in game 1. Now they have one more to worry about.
Well, it strikes me oddly that they would actually choose to ban away the Odin, but I guess Obey just really concerned about getting trapped inside of that cage.
Sure.
And keep in mind, that was also one of the first bans that they elected to go for, so they knew from the start that they wanted a less mobile draft. I think that Space control is still a heavy focus here from Obey. We saw how important it was during a lot of those teamfight engagements, especially around the top right mid Harpy choke points.
Right.
Very limiting options for a Lawbster in terms of survivability, and I like that Obey just maintained that pressure throughout the match.
Ataraxia selecting the Chiron already. Got to get some reps in before some of those changes maybe make Chiron even a little bit better, right? He's been playing Chiron for a long time, though, so this is just an Ataraxia pick he likes.
He can't play Chiron after he's been buffed. If it's
right,
Ataraxia,
if it's normal.
he can only play the god before it gets buffed or after it's been nerfed. He doesn't, none of this, like, in its prime nonsense, okay?
That's not his thing. No, if it's the kind of pick that everyone else is agreeing, yeah, that's really good right now. Ataraxia doesn't want anything to do with it. So the Chiron coming out now while he still has that opportunity. And the Cupid coming in for SK. Remember, this one, I believe, was banned away in game 1. So they didn't have this in his selection. So now they have not zeros, rather, but the Morrigan. I just say zeros. I see Morrigan, by the way, because that's how good he is on it. But the Morrigan here is going to be the option for SK, for Lawbster. Cupid is available for them, too. These are some picks that were taken away from them that they're very comfortable on. This is another good draft for SK. I actually really like it.
I'm not a fan of the Cupid.
I
think if it was any other hunter outside of Cupid, I would be A-okay with this. I feel like Cupid is going to get Mercury ulted off cooldown and just murdered instantly. I think Fields of Love, while it can be great at zoning, it's only a temporary zone. And even then, it's still kind of working against SK more than working in their favor, looking at the composition from Obey, because all PrettyPriMe has to do is drop 1 Zeus ultimate on top of that Fields of Love, and who the hell's going to bother trying to find a kill throughout all of that?
That's right. It just kind of creates a target there for Zeus to hit. But who do you think is going to win this game? Do Obey close it out, or can SK find a way to fight into that game 3 and try and keep this set alive? We'll find out here shortly as Mercury comes in for Obey. A nice pick for Twig that we know that he likes to play. This is getting a bit scary. But I don't know. I mean, Funballer likes his Cupid. I don't know. I kind of like this SK draft.
He likes his Cupid, and he's even had moments where he's gotten ahead on it. But I feel Cupid is still just a little bit too punishable right now at competitive levels of play, and I don't see this being any different of an outcome here.
All right, well, Taco sounds like leaning towards Obey. I'll get on that boat with SK and Cupid and Funballer. We'll see if they can end up making that one work. But either way, let's go ahead and move into Game 2, find out if Obey takes it or SK. Let's move it over to the casters.
Thanks a lot, John Finch. Ugh. Man, I'm wiped. He just
feel like I climbed 2,909 stairs.
Is that really all it is?
That's all it is.
I still feel like the tallest building in the world should have more than 130 some floors.
I mean, it's
2018.
Sure. But I mean that's like you understand that there's like a limitation.
Yeah, I understand that I get tired after 7 stairs.
No, I mean like this building can't be tall enough. Hold on. It's a very important conversation, but I do want to halt it for something minute. Lawbster is soloing the enemy red buff while the Hunter Cupid is in the mid lane at the moment. A very interesting start here from SK Gaming. Lawbster now going to rotate over to the left side without the Cupid and look for the solo invade on the purple. HalfDevil has been maintaining this dual lane by himself, using that word lightly, as he's about 20% HP and on his own tower. So Cupid's going to get the red buff. The purple buff was not actually taken.
No, Lawbster dropped it, but it'll stay on the minimap until the buff itself disappears. Now Lawbster will head over towards his left-hand side. Funball is going to miss this full wave, and Lawbster nearly gets killed for walking in that way, but he gets half of that wave. It doesn't, I mean, just look at the XP per minute charts. It doesn't seem to have worked out for Lawbster, but it has helped out Funball a little bit. He's about 50 experience a minute ahead of Ataraxia. Now, experience per minute at a minute and a half is very volatile because it's only been a minute and a half. But the idea there is that Funball and HalfDevil are going to be pushed under tower, and they will lose buffs. And this guaranteed both SK side buffs, and they took away both buffs from Obey Alliance. So it sets back PrettyPriMe a little bit from where he would be normally in farm by this point.
And a commitment to the invade, as the Robin player is actually going to go deep and take away the experience camps as well. The back camp is going to be taken, so this is a heavy commitment to the invades coming out from SK Gaming. That said, they're down 400 gold.
The idea is that they would be down more otherwise. I don't know that I agree with that necessarily, but it does get you timers on the enemy buffs. Now, you should have timers anyways because it's early game and you play that every day, and you should know when red buff is spawning and things of that nature. But it is a viable strategy from SK that if Obey Alliance responds poorly to, can set them behind. But I think Obey did the right thing, which is just, okay, we'll invade your purple because we were going to do that anyways. We'll stay in lane. We'll push your waves under tower. We'll get our lead that way, and then we'll be here. I mean, look at where Prime is. He's giving up wave pressure to make sure that he's on red buff in time.
Ataraxia, half HP. The Athena Cupid combo, one of the older combos in Smite. Cupid is basically Heart Bomb, and that's it, right? The ultimate's very good. The Heart Bomb's very good, and healing is cool. But I mean, he's so much about this Heart Bomb that's kind of what makes it. I think that's what keeps players off of this character a little bit more often. The wave clear and how kind of one-dimensional he is.
I would agree with that. Cupid just does so much if you can land the whole kit and the enemy doesn't have beads, doesn't have sprint, and you hit the whole kit. But on the pro level, that's pretty difficult in order to do. Now, iRaffer did go with Shell instead of sprint.
Yeah.
That's Prime in trouble, but Faeles is in more.
Oh, that's Zeus, baby. Lawbster going to get taken down by CaptainTwig as well. 2 kills for Obey Alliance right there, one of which is First Blood. So they've got a nice little bounty there. 1,500 gold in the lead already. This one starting off very nicely for Obey Alliance.
Not an encouraging beginning for Faeles and Lawbster to get double killed in mid, and both kills go to each opponent. So now Prime and Twig are going to have a pretty sizable lead in XP. I mean, Lawbster hasn't even hit level 5 yet, and Prime's already 6.
So you and I were both, I would say that we were speaking critically of Cupid in general, correct? Are you a fan of Cupid in this meta?
No, I don't think so.
But Funball has been performing on him fantastically. Now, his team has not been able to get the win, and that's kind of been SK's claim to fame. But Funball, when I say favorably, I mean 5-0 and 5. 6-1 and like, we're seeing very good slash lines from him. Where is the personally, I don't care if a character is F tier if you can wind up with those slash lines. But is he preventing his team from getting the wins by going an oddball pick?
No, I don't think so. It does give up some things, but there are other top meta picks that give up similar ways. Anher is not a good clearing hunter.
Sure.
He's a good fighting hunter. Cupid is not a good clearing hunter. He's a good fighting hunter. So I think there are meta picks that have similar weaknesses and similar strengths. Anher basically does what Cupid does better a lot of the time, but Cupid does have sustain for the team, whereas Anher does not. I don't think that it has been a failing on Funball's part or that the pick has really held SK back. If you watch the VOD for SK Gaming, basically throughout the majority of Season 5, teams don't really focus duo lane that much because, frankly, they haven't needed to.
Exactly.
They usually get their leads on the right side of the map against Faeles and Ducky, and Funball has not been under siege a whole lot so far this season, and that has contributed to his really good score lines.
For what it's worth, though, we've watched him on the Anher specifically get harassed, and he wiggles out. Funball is still, I'm not saying he's top ADC in Europe or anything. Funball, I think, is still an extremely viable Pro League player.
Oh, the dude can play.
And we always say that about this whole SK roster, but I think that Funball is absolutely better than the rest of the rest of his teammates here for the most part. And yes, the slash line might be tilted in favor of him because of a lack of attention there, but I don't think that necessarily means if they paid attention to him, he'd be failing.
I think he would have a harder time.
Sure.
But I do not think he'd be failing. No. I think if he was constantly getting pressured and teams were really worried about this Cupid pick, they would let SK pick it and then they would really abuse it. But it is easier to do what teams have been doing to SK Gaming, which is winning across the map. It's winning in mid. It's winning on right. And by the time Funball joins fights, the game's already so far in the enemy team's favor. It's very difficult for them to lose. Now, that's not to claim with any sort of credence that Funball is without blame or has been carrying his bad team or anything like that.
I agree. Yeah.
Funball has had his fair share of problems, as has the rest of SK. But I do think that the question was about his score lines and how he played Cupid, and I think that has contributed.
Yeah, the Cupid pick, because that's the conversation that you see a lot of mid-level players and analysts kind of say, well, pick the meta stuff, right? But if you are playing Cupid very well, I don't need to see the meta stuff, right? If Dardas plays that Nox support better than he plays the whatever meta pick, then I want him to play the Nox support. If Funball is going to be playing this Cupid and go 6-0-6 every game, then yeah, sure, leave the Medusas at home. Ataraxia is not picking meta.
Never has, never will.
Chiron here, a character that we rarely see, but I think Chiron got a nice little change. I mentioned this last time we saw him on the broadcast. Very, very undervalued aspect of Chiron's kit here. To chase the ultimate out of Xaliea. I think he's okay here. One more shot, I'll take him down, but Xaliea able to wiggle on out of it.
Love it. Love it from Xaliea because Life of the Party gives you damage mitigation. And so he pops it and doesn't turn around because he doesn't want it to stop. HalfDevil rooted, setting up for Twig. Sonic Boom lands, but HalfDevil still fairly healthy. Shell will not save HalfDevil's life. iRaffer does manage to steal it away from CaptainTwig. But that's set up by Xaliea. He keeps the tanks around long enough. He survives and does enough damage that HalfDevil is a clean pickup.
Per our conversation earlier, if you were watching the entire SPL broadcast, we saw Energy today play against Rival. Sounds like a really good set. Honestly, it wasn't. Energy won 2-0. But we saw Adapting play Mercury, and he took a very different approach. We talked about two different Mercury approaches.
Yep.
Adapting built power first. He built the Stoner Sword, the Stone Cutting Sword, 50 power on that item, a little bit of movement speed, and that was just looking for that burst damage in the early game. Here, CaptainTwig going for a very different approach.
The Talaria and the Hasten Katana. These two together, remember, Mercury gets power based on his movement speed. Both of these give so much movement speed that it really is very easy for Twig to still deal burst damage, and he's very slippery.
Yep.
And the big thing, I didn't really get a chance to go into it during the first set where we saw the Mercury, but here I think we've got time where the difference in these builds, I think they're both viable. I think that your comments of play style is a totally fair one. And it's also comp dependent.
Yes, very much so.
Where if you can stick on someone from the enemy team, if you can consistently auto-attack someone and chase them down, it'll pay off for you.
Characters like Zeus, characters like Cupid, you're going to be able to stick to, dash down, just like that. CaptainTwig nails that one because of the ultimate. And yeah, that's really, you know, I said before that playstyle is a dirty word in competitive gaming. Very rarely, if ever, is there where you can play whatever you want. No, dude, there's a right answer and you're just kind of playing it wrong. I think this is one of those, Vulcan is one of the few situations. Mercury, again, one of the rare situations, but I think comp dependency is also a thing. I want to look for the Opwashes, the Zeuses for this particular build. HalfDevil wants to look for anything but death here. CaptainTwig finds his third kill of the contest. 100% kill participation, by the way, for the Mercury player.
Quick beads right on top of Lawbster as well, as Lawbster uses Changeling just to make sure he's safe and sound, and that was necessary from Lawbster. Twig kills him without any sort of Changeling ultimate there from Lawbster. That's beads for ult, not horrible, just because normally you'd think that it's usually in favor of the player that got the purification beads.
There you go, Doug.
But in this sense, Changeling is such a long cooldown.
Yeah.
Almost a wash.
Yeah, no, I agree. Using that you want that Changeling ultimate used offensively every single time. It's not like Windfire Wheels or Fear No Evil where you can get it chased out defensively, and not only with those ultimates could you maybe even turn it around in your favor, but you can burn one and come back later. Lawbster, I mean, that cooldown is over 100 seconds. You're sitting there way too long without it. So, yeah, that's pretty rough, I think, for SK Gaming right now, who 12 minutes in, again, already down 3,000 gold. The early deficits really starting to hurt SK Gaming.
I believe they're a little bit closer than they were last game at this point, though, so small silver lining for the SK boys.
Sure.
I said small.
That you did. That you did.
Problem is experience. I mean, mid and jungle for Obey are each up 2 levels.
Yeah. Again, Funball staying relatively even. Nice play by Ducky, though, here, who actually finds himself above Xaliea just a little bit. Ducky on the Sobek. Again, I've been very critical of the right side of the map for SK Gaming. Faeles more so than Ducky, but I have said a couple of things about the solo lane mayhaps be part of the problem. But Ducky on the Sobek is a pick that I do like him on. I think that he's able to control team fights really strongly on this pick, and that's kind of what I like Ducky doing best for his team, is when he's just trying to control.
It ends up being a little bit more in his favor, just because that's kind of always been his play style. He's a good team fighting solo laner. He's had his lane struggles at times, but Sobek is kind of the king of team fight solo laners right now, and I did love his rotation over to the left-hand side earlier. It didn't prove fruitful, but it was the right idea.
You still think it's Sobek? I think Sobek had his time in the sun, but other picks have kind of usurped him.
No, I think it's Sobek. I think Sobek is still the safest, you know, can do no wrong in that solo lane, stalemates it better than anyone else on the planet, and will still out team fight you in the late game.
Let me, I actually must say that I think that teams have valued other picks above him, but I'm in agreement with you. I think that Sobek is still the big man on campus.
Sobek has not been banned really a lot at all during the entirety of Season 5.
And not really
split. But no god in Season 5 has been picked more than Sobek in competitive play.
I believe that. He was very popular early on.
Yes.
And the false play, like I said, I feel like teams have forgotten about him, but Sobek's still very, very, very real. Sobek and Ymir are 2 picks that I think are undervalued in that solo lane. I like solo Ymir a fair amount, honestly.
I think so, too. It trades that team fight prowess in the late game with kill potential in the mid game. Your kill potential is pretty nuts, but it's just that Sobek also brings kill potential.
Yeah.
All right, you asked me a trivia question earlier. I'm gonna ask you one now. If you land Charge Prey, Tail Whip, and Sickening Strike on a character,
okay,
what is your total base damage, roughly? Like, assume no protection on a squishy.
Charge Prey, Tail Whip, and Sickening Strike. I mean, what level am I? How much?
Level 20.
Level 20.
Don't show him, Doug. Do not.
No, Doug.
Doug, I'm talking to you, okay? Do not.
Doug.
Show Tom.
Who's your homie?
My man!
Oh!
My man!
Doug, we're going to have that. Oh, no. Picking
How much, Tom?
sides here. I'll say 800 damage.
Pretty close. It's like 750, basically, in base damage.
Yeah,
That's insane. And it's all guaranteed as long as you hit Pluck. If
Yep.
you hit Pluck, the other two abilities are guaranteed.
Look at that. So you get 230 base from the charged prey. Add on the 260, you're at about 510, and then 60 on top. Oh, wait, no, that was the heal.
530. It's 220.
Damage is 220.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're at 720 there. Yep.
It's a lot of base damage.
Yeah, that's...
and that's why Sobek's really good. We didn't even show the ultimate, by the way, which is like 900 base damage.
Also, all of those abilities have some sort of crowd control on them. Sickening Strike doesn't, but Immortal strikes you. You heal less.
Yep. You are healing debuffed. His ultimate also provides him an extra 30% protections.
Yep.
He builds a lot of protections, so 30% is a lot.
And it's passive. You build the sausages, so you're always tanky. Nice almost pull there from iRaffer, but Lawbster wiggles on out with the beads. Ducky goes into the ultimate. Slows down CaptainTwig. Here comes help from Faeles. We're going to be used from the Mercury. And Xaliea from the right side, you vacuum in HalfDevil right into the clutches of PrettyPriMe. And the mid laner puts lucky number 7 up on the board for Obey Alliance. Not done just yet. Ducky blinks to the right-hand side. Obey Alliance, they get pushed back as SK Gaming find their exit. And the 4,000 gold lead from Obey about to be pushed further as the Pyromancer will be the next victim. And there it goes.
So I said earlier with Twig's build, you want a team composition you can stick to if you're picking Hastened Katana. One way to guarantee you can stick to the enemy team is by going Frostbound Hammer.
Oh.
Now, there is some world in which Twig is just playing too much Joust as of late, too much Duel, and he's being poisoned by this Frostbound Hammer idea.
So,
but it is 300 health. It does slow. It is a nightmare for a character like Sobek to deal with, who's trying to use his Pluck to get away. If you chase him after the Pluck, Frostbound Hammer, there is just not a whole lot he can do about it. There isn't a sprint on the other side quite yet. HalfDevil still only level 11, so we'll see if he wants to go for it.
Don't forget your Mage Your Look is also applying that, so you can apply it from a distance.
Yep. There is some merit there.
So
no pen from CaptainTwig, so
where's
Ducky and HalfDevil feel pretty good about that.
Okay, Magi's Cloak here. So
he's been playing a lot of Duel.
Well, CaptainTwig did this build earlier in the split as well. I forget if it was, I'm pretty sure it was week number 3. But he went Tank Boots. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he left the Katana out of the build. He went Tank Boots and directly into tanky items. Katana may have been there. But I like this better. I like the Speed Boots better than the Tank Boots. But Mercury is such an odd character to choose to go into this control type area with. Because he's all about damage. Like, that's what he does. Special delivery is a really interesting...
Is great setup. See, I don't know if I agree with you. I think that he does have great setup.
But I feel... But I feel like there are characters that do what special delivery does, but better. Like, there are better setup characters than Mercury.
Sure.
And by picking Mercury going into setup is odd to me.
But at the same time, you can play setup and kill people very well. Even with a build like this, it's still possible. Nice ultimate there from Ducky, knowing he was about to get plucked. This is a good opportunity for SK.
Yeah, SK, they see Obey Alliance all grouped up. Ducky has to run away. PrettyPriMe,
yeah.
He gets 2 with the detonate, and 2 for the Hunter as well. Funball fights back just a little bit. Xaliea snaps one up, and just like that, Zeus making it happen.
I love that stuff. That is the best. When you are getting dope as Zeus, you're about to die, you press 3 and get a double kill on the 2 people who are across the freaking map. Let's go, Prime. I love that stuff. Great team fight from Obey. Really good ultimate from Prime to make sure that he's able to get that damage off. His chain lightning was on time. But the way that Obey Alliance really collapses in on each other. And against a lot of team compositions, that's a death sentence. But you have to understand where it's going to benefit your team, and it will against this SK roster who is really lacking AoE damage with the Morrigan, that you can really make that happen very easily and not get punished. And in fact, just make it very easy for you to peel and keep the aggression going whenever it's time for you to turn that corner.
This is where that was the Cupid moment, right? The entire enemy team grouped up, dropped the Fields of Love. The problem is Obey Alliance, nobody has sprint, sure, but nobody crippled doesn't hurt anybody either, really. And everybody just kind of moonwalked out of it, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. Obey Alliance, on the other hand, have a circle ultimate of their own, and, well, Prime was a little bit of a big deal, I'd say.
That was awesome.
I mean, not only did he get the two kills.
And it's knowing that the tanks on the other team are just sitting there, and they're just like, please, Prime, don't do it. You hold their feeble lives in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
And then you crush it.
You are a supervillain, actually.
Not
you are
me.
actually just a supervillain.
No, man.
I think you are.
I think that I just use this opportunity to play out a cool god in Zeus.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, he does his thing. Right now, he's going to help secure the Gold Fury. Nabil just came in and took my toy.
Yeah, he kind of did. Tom got a laser pointer, and he's been using it to point out stuff on the map to me and builds and that kind of stuff, and it was pretty helpful.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it. Xaliea.
And now you got it, and now you don't have it anymore.
Xaliea using that ultimate for the damage reduction. Gets safely avoided. Here comes help from CaptainTwig.
Oh, no.
Faeles needs help now.
No way. Okay, Xaliea does die. I was going to say, if Xaliea gets out of that one,
for real.
Then we are in trouble now for SK Gaming. But they got there.
Oh my goodness. iRaffer blinks behind Lawbster. Lawbster uses the beats to get out of there. Quickly turn and run. Lawbster under fire.
Holy.
Oh, 2 shots of whatever, and it's good enough. Ataraxia from the 3-point line takes down Lawbster. Oh boy, you got excited before. Masterful shot
awesome.
is
I
dope.
love that. I love that.
I love it, dude.
Also, everyone really loves Bumba's mask until you get half health by 2 Chiron ult shots. I mean, it's all well and good,
right?
Until you get hit like a truck. Oof, that's the good stuff there from Ataraxia, who did not go second item Brawler's Beatstick in this game, unfortunately.
No, he did not. He went into Jotun's Wrath, though, which I like. I'm a big fan of this build coming out from Ataraxia, in all honesty.
Yeah.
The Chiron is the quintessential ability-based hunter, and plus, I think the biggest boon here is the fact that his abilities are offensive, but also having access to that cleanse more often is really powerful, specifically against Athena.
Twig able to juke around and blink out pretty easily, and now he's added a rage on top of this defense. It's Twig, dude. I don't know. Twig is the dude who goes to the all-you-can-eat buffet and throws appetizer, entree, dessert, all in one plate, but they're out of plate, so it's in a bowl, and he's like, I don't care.
And that guy said, you know what he says, which I hate this line? All gonna look the same at the end.
No. Okay,
all going to the same place.
That's the one. It's all going to the same place. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but it's not what it's about.
All going to the same place.
Yeah, that is Twig right now. All the damage is going to the same place.
It's not going to the same place. That's not. This is not. That doesn't work. That's not the. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You're just hungry.
No, I ate a little bit ago. I'm good. All right, we are not devolving that
You
far.
started this one. I mean.
That is not true.
Okay.
It's okay. He's getting high to the urchin now.
I think this is. You know what I think this is? I think this is. Twig just put a Twitter poll. What item should I buy? And every time someone sends him a
There's
tweet,
no Toxic Blade. I think Toxic Blade would have made that Twitter poll for sure.
Do you?
Yeah.
I would have spammed Rage. I would have just spammed Rage.
Okay. So I thought where this was going to go, I thought he was going to go Bumbas after Mad.
Yeah, same.
That he was going to be setting himself up to be tanky enough to withstand the extra damage he take from Bumbas because, yes, he gets power, he gets CDR, which is less relevant for Mercury, but always nice. and he gets movement speed, which translates into more power. So the 10% damage decrease isn't going to affect him as much. I thought that was the game plan. I was clearly wrong. This build is more that as he's sticking on you, this rage is just there to make him deal enough relevant damage to where you can't just ignore him and, you know, shoot fly, don't bother me sort of thing. You actually have to pay attention to what Twig is doing to your backline.
Shoot fly, don't bother me. Well, golly gee willikers there, aggro. What do you mean?
It's all going to the same place.
Ultimate coming out from iRaffer. HalfDevil gonna ult away. Aggro's gonna giggle around.
Okay, well, I've been casting with Finch a lot recently.
Oh. Sorry.
Well, do I need to say anything else, or did you get my point?
I got
that. Okay, cool.
25:50 on the clock here. 17 kills in total, and Obey have 15 of them. Huge lead as well. 18-4 in the gold column. 22,000 experience in the lead is Obey Alliance. They're almost 6 slotted. The Morrigan has 4 items.
It's not looking good for SK Gaming.
This is an uphill battle.
And remember, this SK team gave Obey a lot of trouble during the spring split. It's just that every other team continued to get better, and I don't know that I can say the same for SK.
Chain Lightning going to claim 1 life. HalfDevil down for the count. Right side Phoenix going to be there as well. That crit.
Big crit. Let's go.
He crit for 252.
Let's go.
iRaffer stuck in the fields of love. Gets stunned out just a little bit. Trouble for Duck. He blinked on! And CaptainTwig hits him for 50 and kills him. Xaliea takes down Lawbster as well. CaptainTwig hits him for 50 and takes care of Faeles as well. Double kill for the defense Mercury. Titan going down. Obey Alliance. They're going to win.
27 minutes, and again, make it look just as easy as it was in game number 1. I will say that towards the late game, sure, Twig was hitting people for give or take 190 damage per auto attack without a crit. However, in the early to mid game, he played lights out. I mean, he was really great. The ultimate in duo lane really stood out, where it's the literal perfect distance. He stops on a dime right behind Funball. That's always the hardest part of hitting your Mercury ultimates on ganks, is where you're stopping in relation to the enemy player. Twig played very, very well and earned the right to crit people for 250.
Oh, well, it's not dumb if it works, right?
No, that's not how that works.
I agree. CaptainTwig comes through with the defense Mercury. Him and his team are able to take the victory. Does that make him the MVP? Well, that's a whole different story. Hey, Aggro.
What's up?
Who do you think is MVP?
PrettyPriMe.
Why is that?
Because he had that real cool double kill. He
Right.
also did a lot of damage, finished like 6-1 or 7-1, and was a big part of the team's victory. But he also had that tight double kill.
Realistically, PrettyPriMe did put on a performance.
Yeah,
I
did.
just hate giving you any Zeus credit. Break it down.
I do hate watching aggro be happy about Zeus plays. It hurts me to my core.
You could have stopped that sentence at, I hate watching aggro be happy.
That's a good point.
And all of us would have agreed.
But he's happy about so few things. It usually is just Zeus plays. That's not much makes him happy. But that's going to do it, though. SK Gaming, unfortunately, couldn't find that victory there, Taco. And it is Obey that come out on top. And I think I am probably giving my vote to PrettyPriMe.
I can't disagree with you on that, as much as I dislike having to give this one to aggro, but
Right.
the Zeus juice really came out in full force today there on PrettyPrime's behalf, and I don't think that we could have asked for more excellent viewing pleasures from watching that Zeus gameplay.
That was really nice, and yes, that DSI does kind of stick out in mid lane. What happened there? I mean, it was a bit of an overstep, I would say, a bit of an overcommitment from SK trying to chase down Prime. And even though he does end up falling, I mean, is it worth it if the whole rest of your team falls and also the tower and you never recover? And
it was just such an immediate turnaround that I don't even think SK really had a chance to process what was happening in mid lane by the time they were all dying. It's like, first they wiped, and then they realized, oh, we lost that engagement. And from that point forward, it was just all an uphill battle that, unfortunately, SK just weren't capable of trekking up any further.
yeah, that one really kind of set them behind. I'm right there with you, Taco, and ended up hurting them in a big way. Well, all that damage came out from Zeus, so who's surprised, really, that the MVP selected was actually CaptainTwig, not PrettyPriMe on the back end of that. He did make some excellent plays. This is that ultimate you heard Ryan talking a little bit back about on the back end of that their cast, where he stopped perfectly at the back end of it, lands the stun, and comes in the back end. I mean, Twig, it just gets it done for him here. Maybe the build a little bit unique, the heavy hammer, Magai's cloak, and crit on the back end, but you know, he got it done.
Utility-based Mercury has been something that Twig's stayed experimenting with for quite some time now. I believe the last time he played this pick, he did a little bit of more unconventional itemization choices, but it did start off with the Mercury ult into the Cupid, and I don't know, Finch, it's almost like we saw that one coming.
And yeah, that the Mercury would be able to pressure the Cupid. Is that something that you thought
I feel like that was exactly all Twig had to do was get an early lead by pressuring the Cupid, because he's very vulnerable in the laning phase.
And he didn't really have many options available to him on the back end of that one, talking right there with you. So SK still has some stuff to work out, and Obey, for their credit, are looking a little bit better. Let's take a look at the standings where everyone is, because we saw Rival drop to Energy earlier today. That means now with Obey taking care of business against Mouse, they're right there now with Energy for that second, third place above Rival. And a little bit more work has to be done by that team to catch back up.
And that was a very critical set for Obey, whether it seemed like it or not, because of the fact they were going against SK. It doesn't matter. The fact is, in order to stay as a contender for that top 2 slotting, they needed to bring this one home. And had Obey let up their guard for even a second, SK could have probably been able to capitalize and punish them for it. So that's why we see Obey no joking around. They are all business when it comes this close to the game time for Worlds.
They know how important these fall split sets are, that you absolutely have to win every last one of them to give yourself a chance to skip those placement stages. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the matches that are going to be coming down a little bit later on the week to see which ones are going to be the big deal. Remember, United versus Space Station, that is huge for North America. That one's happening tomorrow. Another big one, Energy up against Dignitas. I mean, this is a stacked week. This has huge ramifications for the rest of the split.
It could also have some very serious repercussions for Space Station if they're unable to close out against United in the back-to-back, or excuse me, in the secondary matchup. It's essentially a revenge match, but I don't know if I can really call it that just yet, because Space Station still have to enact the revenge upon United first of all. But I do really have some concerns, though, depending on how that set plays out, because if Splice are able to win against Luminosity, then that could put Splice in position to try and overthrow Space Station for that second place seeding.
It absolutely could. Same thing for Rival versus Obey. If Obey win that set, that might just push Rival out of contention for that spot as well. So it's something you absolutely have to make sure that you're picking up. Remember, they're all trying to scratch and claw their way to make it to DreamHack at the end of the year. It's going to be November 16th through 18th, but it'll be a little bit easier for you all to make it there than having to fight through this gauntlet. hi-rezexpo.com. Pick up those tickets now. That way you can make sure you're there at the event. Secure yourself a seat to enjoy PC, console, Paladins, console. It'll all be there, plus all the other events of DreamHack in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. A bunch of stuff around to enjoy in the city as well. It's just a huge value.
And not to mention that in case you didn't get your fill during the actual DreamHack event, there's still going to be the after party that you can always show up and attend. Make sure you want to pick up or keep an eye out for those tickets whenever they're on sale, because you're not going to want to miss out.
Yeah, I believe you should be able to pick those up pretty easily now. Just go to hrxafterparty.eventbrite.com, grab those. If you are going to DreamHack, go to this, right?
They pretty much go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. It's just not the same sort of experience.
No, absolutely not. So make sure that you enjoy that. But again, that's a little bit future looking forward. You can still take some actions right here today to try and make your experience a little bit better by linking your accounts with Mixer. This way you can get in front, make sure you don't miss out on any drops once those start going live. Get that SPL Bologna skin by linking up to Mixer and then waiting on those drops to come through.
And the Bologna skin's a guarantee. All you got to do is sign up, so make sure you get those account links in as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's one that they're a big fan of out there. They want that SPL. I don't know what it is, but they like the SPL Bologna.
It's a shirt. It's a nice little, it's a satisfying lavender color. It's aesthetically pleasing.
I might just have like fuchsia, maybe, sort of color on that. But
I think you need to be like a little bit harsher on the color blends in order to get that fuchsia tone.
You know your hue is a little bit better than I do, Taco. So I'm going to give that one to you on exactly what shade that is. But that is going to do it here for us today with the SPL. Remember, tomorrow we're going to be taking a look at North America, just as important as we get into the back half now of the fall splits. You're not going to want to miss a moment. Be right back here for the SPL. And again, thanks everyone for watching. Have a good rest of your day.
Smile like the was the last Christmas day.